Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Aaliyah and I'm the owner of LushByLeah, which is a luxury crochet brand. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the Summer Me top, which is my very first pattern that I created after I learned how to crochet. It is also available on my website at LushByLeah.com. So on the next slide, I'm going to show you guys what materials you're going to need for this project, and we'll hop straight into the tutorial, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make my Summer Me crop top. You're going to need a couple of measurements and a couple of materials for this project. So first I have my yarn here, which is a weight for yarn. This is the Big Twist value yarn. Any weight for yarn will work for this project. You're also going to need a 4.5 millimeter hook. If you use a hook that's bigger or smaller, you're going to have to account for the measurements difference. So with that being said, you're also going to need a measuring tape to get the right measurements. Because this project is based on your measurements, you can use a different hook or different yarn size and just adjust to your measurements. Lastly, I have some buttons here. You're going to need 8 buttons. So let's get started with the project. So to start this project, you're going to want to have your nip to underbust measurement. So from your nipple to the bottom of your breast. For me, I am a D cup. So for me, my measurement from my nipple to the bottom of my breast is 3.5 inches. So with that being said, I'm going to make a chain that is 3.5 inches, and for me, that is about 14 chains. So I'm just gonna get started by chaining 14, and you're gonna chain whatever your nipple to underbust measurement is. So I made a chain of 14. Now I'm just going to go through and measure this really quickly just to make sure it's 3.5 inches. And as you can see, if I stretch it out a little bit, it is 3.5 inches. So we're going to move on now that we have our starting chain. So we're starting with the cups first. That's why we needed our cup measurement. So to continue on from making our chain, we're going to start by yarning over and doing a half double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. And we're doing a half double crochet. So now I'm just putting a half double crochet in all of the stitches until I reach the last stitch. Now that I've reached the last stitch of this first row, in the last stitch I'm just going to yarn over and place 2 half double crochets in this same stitch. This one, and then we're going to go back in, yarn over, and 2 in that same stitch. Okay. Now as you can see, I'm turning my work upwards because that's the direction we're going to be working in now. So after we place those 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, I'm going to go ahead by chaining 1, and I have a stitch marker over here that I'm going to put into the chain 1 space. And the reason that I'm putting that in that chain 1 space is because that's where we're going to be putting our increase for the bra cup. So now that we did the chain 1, we're going to yarn over again, and into that same last stitch, we're going to put another 2 half double crochets. 1 and 1 more, 2. Okay, so now your work should look like this. And if it's easier for you to hold it sideways, go ahead and do that, but the way we'll be working is upward, so I find it easier to just hold it upward. Now that that's done, we're going to continue down this side of our row with half double crochets. So you're gonna go into every stitch, yarn over. First stitch is right here. Yarn over, half double crochet, yarn over, half double crochet into the next stitch. I also like to just half double crochet. Okay, and yarn over, half double crochet into the next stitch. I also kind of like to hold this loose piece of yarn here on the side close to the work as I'm crocheting down this side, so you don't need to sew it in at the end. Just kind of pulling my work. Pull that string down and that'll help it get unlumped. But yeah, so I'm just going down this side with half double crochets. And that's the last stitch. So now that I went down that side, this is what my work looks like now, and this is the direction in which your broad cup will be. So to just double check that you went into every stitch on each side, you should start by counting from this side until you reach right before the stitch marker, and you should have the same number of half double crochet on each side. So for this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 half double crochet. We're going to skip the chain 1 and we're going to count this side to make sure it's parallel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so if you have the same number of half double crochet on each side, then you went down each stitch and you didn't miss any, so we can continue on from there. So now to continue, we're going to start by chaining 2 because we're doing half double crochet. So 1, 2, and flipping our work. To start the next row, you're going to start with a yarn over and half double crochet into that first stitch. We're going to half double crochet in each stitch until we reach the stitch marker. Once you reach the stitch marker, meet me back here so that we know what to do next. Okay, now that I've reached the stitch with the stitch marker in it, in this stitch, which is the middle stitch, we're going to do 3 half double crochets. It'll be a hole there actually. You're not even going directly into the stitch, you're going into this little hole that was created right below the stitch. It's just easier to put the stitch marker inside of the actual stitch at that time, but we're going in this little hole. This is our second one, and this is our third one. Okay. Now to keep track of which stitch is the middle stitch, which is this one right here for me, and should be for you as well, I'm going to take out the stitch marker and place it into that second stitch from the 3, because the second would be the middle stitch. So now we're going to continue placing a half double crochet on the other side once again, 1 stitch in every stitch as we continue down the row. Okay, now that we reached the end of that second row, we're going to start again with a chain 2 and turn our work. So we're going to start with the half double crochet in every stitch once again until we reach that stitch marker. Once we reach that stitch marker, we're going to place 3 half double crochets. Now the amount of rows you need will depend on your bra size, so I will put on the screen how many rows you need for each bra size because that varies. So we'll come back here after you reach the number of rows that you need to reach for your specific size, and we will start with the next part. Okay, now I've finished one of my bra cups, and I have on each side, you can count to make sure that your bra cups are parallel. You want to count from the stitch right before or right after the stitch marker and count all the way down to the last stitch on your bra cup. It should be the same on each side, skipping over the stitch with the stitch marker. So we'll do this side. Have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And that's on one side. Just to double check that the other side is parallel, we can do the same thing starting from the first stitch and counting to the stitch right before the stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You're just doing that to really make sure that your bra cup is parallel. If you have more stitches on one side or less stitches on the other, then you made a mistake somewhere in your bra cup, and you want to make sure that your bra cup is parallel. And so after we done that, at the beginning of the video, like I said, I am a D cup, but I always make the cup below my actual cup, so I made a C cup. So if you were following the chart on the video, then you would see that the measurements for a C cup, or the width for the C cup, is 7 inches. We're just going to double check that to make sure that's what I have here, and that's exactly 7 inches. So after you double check that your numbers are correct, you want to redo the bra cup because we need 2 of them. And I already went ahead and did my second bra cup. So here is the second bra cup. On the second cup, you want to make sure you don't fasten off your yarn. As you can see, I'm still connected here to my working yarn. And on the first one, I just went ahead and did a slip stitch and fastened off. It really doesn't matter which cup you do this for. Just make sure your cups are facing right side up. Okay, so starting back with the cup that I left off on, I'm going to take my hook, and from that last stitch, I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to turn my work so that the bottom of the cup is facing up towards me. So from here, I'm going to begin placing 1 single crochet all the way down the bottom of this cup until I reach the end of the bottom. It really doesn't matter where you put these single crochets, just make sure you're going into each stitch and make sure you have the same number at the bottom on both cups. As you can see, I'm kind of just going in wherever it feels right for my hook to go. I'm not really going in any specific row, but I'm just going to make sure that I count these stitches here at the bottom to double check that they're parallel on both of my bra cups. keep on going until I reach the bottom, the end of this bottom row. You only need one stitch in each space that you're going into. Just stretching that out a bit. And this is the last stitch I'm going into the end of my row. Okay. Now that I went into that last stitch, I'm going to go ahead now and chain one again. But firstly, I want to count how many stitches I have here on the bottom. So this is my very first stitch, not counting that chain one here. I'm just going to go to the very first stitch. If it helps, put a stitch marker in that very first stitch and the very last stitch so you can double check that you have the same number on each bra cup. So I'm going to count here so I know how many to put on my second bra cup. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Make sure you can see that 28th stitch, and I'm not counting the chain one. So make sure if you are going to forget, do not count the chain one, put a stitch marker in this last and the first stitch over here. So once again, once you put your last stitch at the bottom of this bra cup, you want to chain one, and for my strap I'm chaining 76 chains. So I'm gonna get started with that now. I have 3 already. Now I have 76 chains. I actually did 75 for my strap, and I made one turning chain, which is where the 76 come from. So after I have that, I'm going to go back down the strap with the slip stitch, starting at the very first stitch we have. I'm just gonna go right back into that stitch and place a slip stitch, pulling that first stitch very tight, going back down into the next stitch until I reach the end of my strap. Just going all the way back down this chain with slip stitches, as you can see. Okay, I will meet you back when I have all of my slip stitches finished. So I'm reaching my last few slip stitches on this chain, and we're gonna go in and slip stitch all the way down this chain. And we're also gonna slip stitch in that chain one that we made at the beginning of making our strap chain. So go right back into that chain one with the slip stitch, and then in that same stitch that we made that last single crochet on the bottom half of this row right here, that same slot right here, we're going to put a slip stitch as well, just to secure our strap and to start the next section. So as you can see, our strap is secure with the slip stitch. So once you finish that, we're gonna go around this whole part of the top of the bra cup until we reach this middle point where the stitch marker is. Stop before you get to this point so you know what to do here. But we're gonna go in each of these half double crochets on top with a slip stitch. Okay, so we already went into that first one, so we're gonna go right into the next one with the slip stitch and keep going around, slip stitching all the way. Okay, that was my last slip stitch before I reached my stitch here. As you can see, I put the single crochet here. We're not going into here yet. Before we go there, we want to grab our second bra cup because we're now going to attach these two together. So the way we're going to do this is by starting a slip stitch into that same stitch with the stitch marker in it, like such, and grabbing our second bra cup and putting the your hook through that exact same stitch on the opposite bra cup. So now you have your hook is now going through both of the middle stitches on each cup. So we're just gonna pull through both bra cups like such and slip stitch them together. So now that we did the middle with the slip stitch, make sure you pull that as tightly as possible, and then we're gonna go into the very next stitch on our bra cup right there, and we're going to start slip stitching in every single crochet on this second bra cup, same way we just did on the other side. We're gonna keep putting slip stitches until we reach the end of this bra cup at this very last stitch, and I'll tell you what to do once we reach there. Okay, so I'm reaching that last stitch, and here we are in the last stitch, placing that last slip stitch right there. So now that we placed our last slip stitch, we're going to start the strap for this side. So we start by chaining one. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and chain another 76 for my other strap. just finished my 76th chain. So now we're gonna go right back into the next stitch, going back down the chain with a slip stitch in every stitch until we reach the last chain, including that chain one. So just go back down the entire chain with slip stitches, the same way we did on the other strap. Okay, now I'm reaching the last couple of slip stitches on my chain here. And then I'm going into that chain one I made at the beginning with a slip stitch as well. Okay, now we have both straps completed on each bra cup. So if you remember, we were coming up from this direction from the single crochets on this bra cup, and then we went into our strap, and then we came down with slip stitches. Since this side is the opposite, we already did our slip stitches, we did our strap, and we came down with our slip stitches from our strap. So now we have to go back down this bottom half of the bra cup with single crochets. So we're going to start by placing our first single crochet in that same stitch as we did the last slip stitch on this top half right here. There'll be a big gap right there. Right there is where you'll place your first single crochet. Now remember, on this side of my bra cup I had 28 single crochet from top to bottom, so I have to make sure this side also has 28. So I'm gonna go through and count 28 single crochet and fit them in until I reach this last stitch on the bottom of this bra cup, and I'll meet you back when I get there. Okay, and this is the last stitch on the bottom half, my 28th stitch. So that's what it looks like. Now that that's done. Okay. Now we're going to start from here, and we're gonna go along the bottom of our bra cups. We're just going to start by chaining one at the bottom here, and we're going to go in all of these half double crochets on each bra cup until we reach the end of the second bra cup. So I'll show you what to do when we get to this middle section right here. For me, I know that I have 22 half double crochets along this bottom portion here before I reach the stitch marker. So as I go around and account for this side as well, I'll have 44 single crochet altogether. So after we chain one, we're going to go into that first half double crochet and start placing single crochet in each of these stitches at the bottom. You should have the same number you did at the beginning of making your bra cup. So for me, like I said, that will be 22 single crochet here on the bottom of my bra cup. In this last stitch right before the stitch with the stitch marker, Okay, so now I'm going to quickly go back and count because we want one stitch as the middle stitch here. So for me, like I said, I have 22 from the start down here to the stitch just before my stitch marker. To make the middle stitch into one stitch, what I'm going to do is take the stitches with the stitch markers and place a single crochet decrease in between these two. Okay, just making those two stitches into one stitch essentially, just like so. So I went into both of my middle stitches and just put a decrease between them. So now that I have a new middle stitch, because we'll be working from the bottom now, I'm going to place a new stitch marker into that middle stitch there. This is my new middle stitch as we work on the bottom half. I'm going to take these out so you can see just a little better. Okay, so that is my single crochet decrease of those two middle stitches together. So now that I did that, I'm going to continue on to the next bottom half of the bra cup by continuing placing my single crochets, and I should have 22 on this side of my bra cup as well because they're both even. So I'm just going down this side my bra cup with those single crochets. I'm approaching the last stitch on this side. And that is the last stitch on the bottom of this bra cup. We have to make sure that our numbers are correct before we move forward because this is very important. So we should have one middle stitch. This stitch is not counted on either one of these sides, so these sides should still be the same number as when you first made your bra cup and whatever number you ended off on before you reached that middle point. So for me that was 22, so let me double count that I still have 22 on each bra cup, starting from my first stitch. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 and 22, and that is counting the stitch right before that stitch marker. We're ignoring the one with the stitch marker in it, and we're going to go on this side just to double check. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 and 22. So in total, like I said, I should have 44 stitches, but including this one stitch it will be 45 because that's our middle stitch, and that's exactly what we want. Now that we did that and we're at the end of that second cup, we're going to start working down one half of the bra cup. Well, firstly I want to say that I like the look of slip stitching into this first single crochet over here. As you can see, it's like a little gap here, so I like to slip stitch into that single crochet just to close that gap from that side portion and the bottom portion, just to give it a cleaner look. As you can see, that looks a little neater. But do not count that slip stitch into your numbers going down this side. Just kind of skip over that. So from there, we're going to chain 2 because we're going to work down this one side of the bra cup. Okay, so we chain 2, and we're going to start placing a half double crochet. Remember, skipping that slip stitch. We're going to place a half double crochet in each stitch until we reach that middle stitch where the stitch marker is. Okay, we're now approaching that stitch marker here. Just going into my last 2 single crochet with half double crochets, and once we reach that stitch marker, we're going to place 1 half double crochet into the middle stitch that has the stitch marker. Now after we do that, we're going to start the next row by chaining 2 and turning our work over. I'm just going to do a half double crochet decrease in these first 2 stitches of the second row. Okay. And we're going to place 1 half double crochet in each stitch until we reach the end of this row. Okay, that was my last half double on this row. So now I'm just going to start by chaining 2, so we'll start the next row, turning my work. Okay, I'm starting this row by placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch until we reach the last 2 stitches. I'll meet you back when I reach those last 2 stitches. I'm now approaching those last 2 stitches. Just have a couple more before we get there. Okay, now I'm at the last 2 stitches, and I'm going to make a half double crochet decrease in these last 2 stitches here. Okay, chaining 2 to start this next row and turning your work. You're going to repeat again with a half double crochet decrease at the beginning in those first 2 stitches. And 1 half double crochet in every stitch until you reach the end of the row. Reaching that last stitch. Okay, now we're going to chain 2, turn our work again, and we're going to do this row same way by placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch until we reach those last 2 stitches, and then we're going to do a half double crochet decrease. This will be the last row of decrease, so meet me back here to know how to proceed with the following rows. Okay, I already made my half double crochet decrease in the last 2 stitches. Now for the following 6 rows, we're going to start by chaining 2. We're going to just place 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and we're going to chain 2 and turn after each row. There will be no more decreases from this point on. For the next 6 rows, we're just doing half double crochet, and that's it. Meet me back here once you have all of your rows completed, so we know how to proceed. Okay, I'm approaching the last stitch on my 5th row of half double crochet. Okay, so this is one side of the top. This is how it's looking right now. And I just want to take a measurement of how long this little panel here is from that first row of single crochet on down, for anybody who's using a different hook or different yarn size that might not be the same as mine. So I'm going to start from where we first started the single crochet. Just measuring down. That's about 4 inches. Okay, so now that we finish one bottom half of our panel, we're going to start on this side's back panel. So for the back panel, what I like to do is go up to the midpoint of our bra cup, and for me, my string is still sticking out of here where the midpoint was. I'm just going to look at midpoint here and which stitch that's at, and that's right here. So I'm going to put a stitch marker right there because that's where I'll work up to from where I am now, which is the bottom. And you want to make sure you put the stitch marker in the same stitch on the opposite bra cup, so it'll be better to count from the top to the bottom, because it's kind of hard to tell sometimes with these first couple of stitches here and where it stops. So counting from the top, you can see this is the first single crochet we have, so I'll start counting here to the midpoint where I put my stitch marker, and so I can mark it on the other bra cup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's 13 from the top, so I'm going to count down 13 from the top over here to make sure I'm in the same middle stitch on each cup. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm going to put my stitch marker in this 13th stitch, and that is the middle of that bra cup. So we're gonna go on from there and start the next portion, which is the back panel, like I said. Okay, so we're going to start by chaining 1 and turning our work to the side here so we can work up this side up until where the stitch marker is. So we're going to go in every row starting here, placing 1 single crochet in every row on this area where we have these half double crochet. I'm just going in between the rows and in the rows, if that makes sense. And that's how that's looking. So now we have our single crochets that we're approaching. Let's do a single crochet here. And now we have these single crochets on where we went up the bottom of the cup here, so we can just start placing a single crochet in those single crochets. Now I'm approaching that stitch marker. And we're going to keep going and place a single crochet in where the stitch marker is as well. And this is what the side of the top should be looking like now, with those single crochets coming from the part with the half double crochets up into the part with the single crochets. Let me go back first because I forgot to add that before we get up to the top of our bra cup part where we have the single crochet, it's easier to find your stitches to place another row of single crochet on top. But down here where the half double crochet is, it is a bit harder to see, but I suggest going into every row, placing one single crochet in the side of every half double crochet row as you're going up, and make sure you keep that number, because you should have the same number of single crochet up until your stitch marker on both sides. So from here, which is our first single crochet from the side, to the stitch marker, it should be the same number on this side as it will be on the side we haven't gotten to yet. So just keep that in mind. So before we go on to the second row of our back panel, we want to get the measurement for how long our back panel is going to be. So we have to take our bust measurement, subtract it by 10, and then divide it by 2, and then subtract it again by 1. I know that sounds like a lot, but I'll put an example on the screen with my measurements. So my bust measurement around the largest part of my chest is 38 inches. So when I subtract that by 10, that gives me 28 inches. Because we have these two separate panels, we're going to now divide that number by 2. And so once I divide that by 2, that puts me at 14 inches. I'm going to subtract this 14 by 1 inch on each side. So that'll make both of my panels 13 inches. That's going to include when you measure your bra cup as well as the back portion of your top. Because I haven't started the back portion of my top yet, I only have the measurement from this midpoint of my bra cup to this first row. So currently I'm only at 7.5 inches. I need this measurement to go all the way to 13 inches on this side, and then when I go to the other side, the middle to the back panel is going to need to be 13 inches as well, and that's how you'll get your measurement for your back panel overall. I know that sounds a bit confusing, but it's very, very simple. So like I said, I'll have written directions on the screen to help you guys understand what I mean by that. Now we're going to chain 2 and turn our work to start the next row. Which is half double crochets in every stitch. All the way down to the last stitch on this row. Finished the last stitch on my second row, and I'm just going to keep going into each row by starting off with the chain 2, turning my work and placing 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and I'm just going to keep doing this until I reach my measurement of 13 inches for my back panel. And the number of rows that will take varies, so just keep going until you reach your specific measurement, and then I'll meet you back here once you reach your measurement and let you know how to finish off the back panel. Okay, now I'm back after I completed my 13 inches of half double crochet rows. I just want to quickly measure first to show you guys that with my starting at my center measurement all the way to the end of my panel, it is 13 inches, and so that's what we want. So you want to make sure when you measure from the center of your bra cup all the way to the end of your back panel to get your measurement. So I also want to add that when you do your back panel, you want to end on a even number of rows. So you want to count that first single crochet row that we made into that, as well as counting all of your half double crochet rows. So I'm going to do that quickly just so you guys can see how to count your rows. So this is the first row, which is the single crochet, so that's 1. You have half double crochet rows starting here. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And that is 18 rows that I have here. So like I said, you want to make sure you have an even number of rows. I'm going to start now by making the area in which we will lace up the back of our shirt. So I'll show you guys how to do that now. So I'm just going to continue by chaining 2 and turning my work. So here the number of stitches I have on my last half double crochet row is 30 half double crochets. This will change depending on if you have an even number or an odd number. Let's say that I had 31 instead of 30. That would be an odd number. So if I had 31 stitches here on this last row, what I would do after I chain 2 is yarn over and place a half double crochet in the first stitch. Then I would chain 2, and then I would count 2 stitches, 1, 2, and skip those 2, and place another half double crochet in the third stitch. Then I would chain another 2 and skip another 2, 1, 2, and place another half double crochet in the following stitch. this is what I would do all the way down to the last stitch in this row on the back panel. However, because I have an even number, like I said, I have 30 of these half double crochets, I'm going to chain 2, enter my work, and then I'm going to chain 2 again. Now, instead of going into the first stitch, I'm going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and place a half double crochet in the third stitch. And you do this only if you have an even number. And there's my first box. I'm going to chain 2 again. And then I'm going to skip 2, 1, 2, and place a half double crochet in the next stitch. Just like that. So you continue doing this until you reach the last stitch in your row. Whether you have an even or odd number, just make sure that you do the same thing you're doing on this panel as the other panel when we get to that point. I'll meet you back after I finish making the boxes on this back panel. I'm now completing the last half double crochet for my back panel. Okay. And just to count these little boxes I have here, we'll all have a different amount depending on how many stitches we had on our back panel. I'm just making sure so that when I do the other back panel that I have the same amount of squares, and you should do this as well. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I should have 10 boxes on my other panel when I get to that point. You should have the same number of boxes that you have on this back panel as the other back panel as well. So now that we did that, this is what one side of our top should be looking like, with the completed back panel and a completed front panel. And after we reach the end on this half double crochet, I'm just going to chain 1 and cut that work off and fasten that off, because this side is now completely done. So now we're going to move over to the second side of our top. Okay, now we're going to start on the second half of our top, and I have my working side facing upwards. So what we're going to do to start this side is flip it over to the wrong side, and you're going to have to flip it upside down as well because of the way that we're working, just like this. Now you're going to start by making the slip knot. To attach that slip knot in that middle stitch with our stitch marker. Now, as you can see, I made my slip knot there. So let me zoom in a bit. So I made my slip knot in that stitch with the stitch marker. Now I'm going to yarn over and make a half double crochet in that same stitch where I just attached my yarn, and this will be our first half double crochet for this side of the bra cup. So remember, you should have the same number of half double crochet that you did on this side of the bra cup. Make sure you're decreasing in the same areas. I'll go through that with you when we get there. So this first row though is just 1 half double crochet in each stitch. So I'm going to start by going in every stitch with a half double crochet. This first row there were no decreases. We're just going in every stitch with 1 half double crochet. Meet me back at the end of this row. reaching that last stitch on the first row and placing my half double crochet in that. Now, similar to the other side, we're going to start our second row by chaining 2 and turning our work. Now this is the row we will begin to decrease. So we're going to start by placing 1 half double crochet into each stitch until we reach the last 2 stitches on this side near our center. Now in those last 2 stitches, you're going to place a half double crochet decrease. Make sure you're not going into that stitch that we used to attach. I made a slip stitch, so it's kind of hard to go into it, but if you made any other type of stitch when you attached it, be sure not to count that in your work for doing this side. And so there I have my half double crochet decrease here. Similar to the other side, we start the next row by chaining 2, turning our work, and placing another half double crochet decrease in the first 2 stitches, and 1 half double crochet in every other stitch until the end of the row. And you're going to make 2 more decreases on the next 2 rows, and then you're going to do the number of plain no increase half double crochet rows that you did on this side. For me that was 5, and you do whatever number that you had. So once you finish all of those rows, meet me back here so we know how to do the back side of the second portion. Okay, so I'm nearing my 5th row of half double crochets on this bottom portion here. And there we go. Now both bottom parts of my top are done. Now what I'm going to do now is chain 1, cut my yarn, and cut my yarn, and cut my yarn, and fasten off. Now I'm going to start working on the back panel of this side. The only difference here is I'm going to start from the top to the bottom because of the way that this side is. So I'm going to turn my work to the side, and just remember that on the side here on that first single crochet row and all of my half double crochet rows afterwards, I have 30 stitches. Remember that you're supposed to have the same amount of stitches that you do on the other back panel. So be sure that you remember the number that you had on your back panel on the finished back panel side. Should be the same number you have over here. So I'm going to go ahead and begin working in the back panel. I'm going to start by making a slip knot. And I'm going to attach that yarn into my stitch, my middle stitch over here, the one with the stitch marker. Start by attaching that. And then I'm going to place a single crochet in that same stitch. And that'll be my first stitch right there, the single crochets. And now I'm going to go down my row until I get to the bottom of the side, and it should have 30 stitches. So I'll meet you back once I have my 30 stitches down the side. Okay, I just completed my 30 stitches on the side of this, and so I'm going to go back in with a chain 2 to start my next row, and we're going to start our half double crochet rows in the back. Remember, you should have the same number of rows that you had on this back panel on this side. So that single crochet row was my first row. Now I'm starting on my second row, and the second row onward will be half double crochets in each stitch until you reach that last row. So I will meet you back when I reach that last row of half double crochets. Okay, so I'm approaching the last few stitches on my 18th row of the other back panel. Okay, and this is my completed back panel. Now we're going to start the loops on this back panel by chaining 2, and depending on whether or not you have even or odd, just repeat the instructions that you did on your other back panel. And for me, I have an even number once again, so I'm going to chain another 2 after I turned, skip the first 2 and half double crochet in the third. And I'm going to do this until I reach the end of this row, and I'll meet you back. Okay, that was my last half double crochet for this back panel loop. I'm going to make sure I have 10, which is what I have on the other one. So let me count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is both panels completed. We have a few more steps before we're completely done, but this is the ending stretch, everyone. So this is what it should look like, and this is the front, the working side, and what it looks like. So we're just going to fasten off on this back panel by chaining 1, cutting our yarn and pulling that through. Now I want to just go through and make a border around the entirety of our top. I have my right side of my work facing upwards, and we're going to start over here on the left hand side, and we're going to go here all the way on the top of the back portion of the left hand side, down these loops, down the bottom, all the way around through this middle portion, come to the next side, down this portion, around here, and back up the loops on this side, and back around the top of this back portion until we reach this last stitch over here on the other bra cup. So we're going to get our yarn again and make a slip knot, because we're going to attach our yarn. Okay, so I'm going to attach my yarn here in this very first stitch on this bra cup, and I'm going to pull that through and make a single crochet on top of that single crochet that we already have there. We're now going to go down these single crochets by placing 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, I'm approaching the last single crochet here, and that'll be where our stitch marker was. So I just did a row of single crochet from the first stitch after our strap on down to our middle point of our bra cup where our stitch marker is. I'm now going to make a row of single crochet along this top portion of the back panel by just going into every row, starting with the row 1 here being the single crochet row, and now I'm going to go into the first half double crochet row, going into the second half double crochet row, and I'm just going in the top of each row. You should have the same number of single crochet on the top and bottom of these back panel rows as you do rows. So I have 18 rows, so I should have 18 single crochet on the top and bottom of these back panel rows. Let me just double check that I have 18 starting from this first single crochet row where I placed a single crochet on the top. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And so from here, I want to go ahead and single crochet into this space, the gap there, and single crochet again in the gap, just to get my corner piece looking neat. I just put 2 single crochets in this gap. Now I'm going to chain 1, turn my work over so I can start placing single crochets down the loop portion. So for this portion, I'm going to go into these chain spaces with 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to go on top of the half double crochet with a single crochet as well. Okay, and now you can see how that looks. It has much more structure and it's not as flimsy. So I'm going to keep placing my single crochets in this area, placing 2 single crochets in the gap and 1 single crochet on top of the half double crochet. And I'll keep doing this until I reach the end of this row, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, I'm now in this last square, and for me, because I had a even number, I'm going to place 2 single crochet here, chain 1, turn so I can start working down the bottom side, and place another 2 single crochet into that same gap. If you had an odd number, you would still place the last single crochet on top of the half double crochet, and then you should chain 1 and place another 2 single crochet in the gap. Now we're going to start again with the bottom, placing 1 single crochet into each row, meaning you should have the same number of single crochet here on the bottom portion that you have here on the top portion, and that is the number of rows that you have for your back panel. So once again, I'll have 18 single crochet. After you finish your amount of single crochet here on the back panel, we're going to start placing our single crochet in the single crochet from the front panel until we reach this last stitch here, and I will meet you back to show you what to do there. Okay, I'm placing my last single crochet here in this stitch. And now to start moving up the middle part here, I'm going to chain one and start to work up this side here by just placing one single crochet into each row, similar to how we've been doing before. Okay, placing my last single crochet in this row. Now I'm going to ignore this middle stitch here and just move over to the next side, going into this very top row with a single crochet. And now working down the side of this panel with single crochets. Single crochet. Okay, now that we did the last stitch on this middle part, we're going to go into these half double crochet on this side and place one single crochet into each of those half double crochet. And we're going to keep going with the single crochets until we reach our back panel, and I will meet you back after we place one single crochet in each of these rows, so you know what to do on this side. But it's the exact same thing we just did on the other side. Stitch here, and then last half double crochet row. Similar to the other side, we're going to go into this little gap here and go into the gap again with another single crochet. We're going to chain one, rotate our work. Now I'm going to place two single crochet into the gap again, and one single crochet on top of our half double crochet, two single crochet into the gap, and one single crochet on top of this half double crochet. And you just keep doing that until you reach the end of the row. Okay, I'm at my last box again, so I'm placing 2 single crochet in that last box, chaining 1, rotating my work again, placing another 2 single crochet into this gap, and then I'm starting on the top of my back panel, placing 1 single crochet into each row once again, and I'm going to continue placing the single crochet up this side of my bra cup until I reach the last stitch here right before my strap, and I'll meet you back there to let you know what to do next. Okay, now that I've finished all of my single crochets, I'm going to start the second row for my border with slip stitches. So I'm going to just flip my work. I'm not chaining anything, I'm just flipping my work over. And now I'm going to go into all of those single crochet with slip stitches. I'll meet you back once I finish this row. Okay, so I'm coming up on my other bra cup with the slip stitches, and I'm finishing this up after I go into this last single crochet. I'm just going to fasten off my work by chaining 1 and cutting the working yarn. Now, this is what your top should be looking like. You'll have a few loose strings, but not too many. And we have our back panels completed, our border completed, our cups and straps completed as well. So now all you need to do is weave in these loose ends. I'm just going to use my darning needle here to put any loose strings that are sticking out in the front of this to the back, because this is the front side of my top. And then I'll weave in my ends on the back side. So that looks to be the only one that was sticking out in the front. So I'm going to go off camera and weave in my ends, and I will come back and let you guys know how to make the strap for the back. And I'm going to put my buttons on and we'll be done. Okay, I weaved my ends, and now I'm just going in to cut the excess tails off. Here I weave them. And this is my top with all the ends weaved in. Now the only thing I need to do is add my buttons, and we're going to do the back strap, and I'll show you how to lace that up. So for the back strap, you're just going to start by making a chain that is your bust measurement times 2. You're just going to make a slip knot, and whatever your bust measurement is, you're going to multiply that by 2, and that's how long you're going to make a chain of. So now that I have my chain here, I'm going to go back down the chain with slip stitches the same way we did for our strap. So going into the first chain with a slip stitch and all the way to the bottom of this chain. I'll meet you back after I finish my strap. and I'll show you how to lace up the back of your top. Okay, after I reach my last stitch, I'm just going to chain one, cut my working yarn, and pull it through to close it off. Before I snip the ends, I'm just going to tie this up in a little knot. So put these two loose strings together, just like that. And one more time. Okay. Now I'm going to cut this string pretty close. Now, to lace up the back, you're just going to take your top, face it wrong side up, and then flip the back panels over like so. I like to get my string and kind of put it together so that it's even, so that the ends are even with one another. And then I put one half of the string into the first box, starting from the back. And then I take the other half and put it through the back on the other side of the parallel box. Then I like to hold the two pieces in my hands and cross them. Okay, I'm gonna pick up one piece and skip one box and go into the next box, to the back once again, and place the string through there. Taking the other piece on the other side, skipping a box and going into the next box, placing a string through the back. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I reach the end of my back panels. Because I have an even number of rows, I have one box left at the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and lace the last part of this into that last box, just because I like to, but you don't have to. And you don't have to lace it up like this at all. If you have a better way of lacing your top, then do that. And that's what it looks like with it being laced. Just going to tie a little bow, and we're going to move on to the final part and an optional part, which is the buttons. Okay, so now I have my buttons here. If you saw at the beginning of the video, I had green buttons, but I think the pink on pink looks way better, so that's what I'll do. I'm not going to show you guys how to sew on the buttons, but I will show you the position in which I lay my buttons out, and I'll show you the thread and needle that I'm going to use to sew these on. Okay, so I have my 9 buttons laid out here in the pattern that I'm going to sew them on. So I'm just going to show you guys. I have some yarn thread here that's not the same color pink, but I'm going to work with it. And I have a smaller darning needle that I'm going to use to sew these buttons on. I just suggest looking up a video on how to sew buttons on because it's a whole video in itself. So I'm not going to show you guys that, but I will do this off camera and I will come back with the finished product. Okay, so I am now done sewing my buttons on, as you can see, and I went ahead and just tied my top up to show you guys the finished product. I'm going to flip it over right quick so you can see the back, and that is the back. And so if you made it to this point in the video, your top is now done. Congratulations. Thank you guys for coming down this journey with me. This is my first YouTube video, but there are many more to come. If you want to know when I'm going to post any new tutorials, just subscribe to my YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at LushByLeah. And if you decide to make this top, please tag me in your designs. I would love to see the colorways you guys come up with and all of your creativity. So tag me, DM me pictures, let me know how it came out for you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and you guys have a blessed day. Bye.